All right, I've begun recording. So, welcome everybody. This is Isabel Parlett, the Soundbite Shaman. And today we're going to be having a conversation about how to bring more life, more energy, and more excitement to all of your business writing. What I'm going to be doing is sharing three very simple but very powerful techniques that I have just seen help people kind of step out of that ordinary way of being and step into a more fruitful, richer, more interesting, more surprising way of communicating with people. So, welcome everybody. For those of you who are joining again, if you sign in with Ustream, you can participate in the chat, and I would love to know that you're here, and I would love to hear your comments and your questions as we go throughout the broadcast today. So let me just check my notes here. Again, if you've chosen sort of a funny nickname, then go ahead and you can just in the chat you could just put in your real name so we know you're here. And I just have a minute after, so I'm assuming people will be joining and are logging in as we get going here. Do let me know via the chat if we have any connection challenges. Some of you were with me for a recent broadcast a week or two ago where I kept cutting out, and I think we've actually solved the challenge of that, but it's always helpful. Hi Sue, welcome. It's always really helpful for me to know if suddenly you can't hear me or the picture goes black. And please just know, because this is a newer technology in general and a relatively new technology for me, I will just be doing everything I can to be reconnecting if we have a connection issue. And I think the other thing I was going to say is, if absolutely we're having problems with the technology, I do have a backup bridge line and we can always go to that if we need to. But I think for what we're doing today, the video is really going to be great. So welcome. We have Helen and we have Sue here. And then the final thing I realized I didn't say in the instructions for this call that we are going to be doing at least one short writing session today. So as the call is getting started and as our folks are joining, you may want to make sure that you have a notebook and a pen so that you can do some writing, because I don't want to just tell you about the techniques that we can use. I actually want you to experience them. So as we get started here, I'd like to ask a question, and I'm kind of learning with this broadcasting, there's always a gap between when I ask a question and when I hear your response. By the way, there's about a 10-second delay between what I'm broadcasting and what you're actually seeing. So the question I want to ask is, for those of you here, what are some of the qualities that you would like to bring into your writing, and specifically into your business writing? What are the qualities that you would like to bring into your business writing? And I think what I've learned is, while I wait for your answers, I'm going to drink a little water. Welcome, Elizabeth. Passion and engagement, says Sue. And by the way, I'm going to be reading these for people listening to the recording. They won't necessarily see the chat. And Elizabeth, it's so good to have you here. Professionalism. Helen, you said humor, compassion, creativity, right? Incredible qualities. Sue, you said irresistibility. I love it. What a great one. Elizabeth, why don't you say just a little bit more about what you mean by professionalism? I'm going to speak to some of the other qualities, but I'd love to hear just a little bit more about what to you, or what you believe would create more professionalism in your writing. Yeah, so passion and engagement. And Sue, what I think is interesting about that passion and engagement is there's really two kinds of engagement that we can talk about here. One is you being engaged in your writing, right? You really feeling in the thick of it, in the groove of it. And the second is that ideally we want our readers to feel that same sense of engagement. And I would say most writing teachers you'll talk to, and particularly creative writing teachers, will say very often the more passionately engaged you are in what you're writing, the more that comes through on the other side. Good. Um, Helen said humor, compassion, and creativity. Yeah, one of the things I love about the techniques that we're going to be working with here is that I think they do create a space where you can express more of the compassion that is inside of you. And by the way, Helen, I love that you brought up this issue of compassion, because I think one of the things that's really missing in a lot of business writing is this quality of compassion. And I've really found that the more, and let's take the most extreme, let's take in our marketing copy, the more our marketing copy conveys to our audience the deep well of compassion we have for the challenges that they face, often the more persuasive and compelling we are to them, you know, and the more they feel drawn to experience whatever it is we have to share. And Sue, you mentioned irresistibility. And I'm so glad you brought that up, because what I really believe is that um, the surest way I know to be irresistible in your writing is to be writing from that bigger, deeper, more passionate place. Because it's, and also to be clear what it is you're trying to communicate, because when you are in that passionate state of aliveness about what you want to share with the world, and you tap into that message that you were perfectly designed and brought here to share, that really to me is when we're irresistible, when we're magnetic, is when we're writing from that really fierce and passionate place. So let me take a pause here and say welcome, Anne. I'm so glad you're here to join us. And Zara, oh my goodness, such a treat. Jeremy, delightful to have you here. Lisa. Um, and I respect the right of anyone here to remain anonymous, but I also like to encourage connection, not only from me to you, but amongst yourselves. So Cabbage95, if you want to share your name, that would be lovely. And Ellie Belly, I'm not sure which Ellie it is, but if you want to share, feel free to, and if you don't, that's fine too. Good. So, Anne, you said you wanted to bring more safety and caring into your writing. Cabbage95, you said clarity and focus. Oh, good. And Sue, you said you want to engage your readers. And this may sound simple, Sue. I really believe the key is to first engage yourself more deeply. It often works very well that way. Good. Zara, if you said heart-provoking, you want your writing to be more heart-provoking. And playfulness. Ellie Pope, so fun to have you here. What a treat. Okay, I'm just looking here. Let me know if you're still hearing me, because right now what I'm seeing on my screen is frozen. All right, I'm just going to trust that it's working and keep going until I hear otherwise. Do post if I'm not coming through, but for some reason it's looking a little funky on my side here. Okay. All right. Let's see.